I wanted to share a quick video with you guys that will hopefully make you optimistic, albeit cautiously. And I'll tell you what I mean by that when we come back.
Okay, thank you all very much, West Virginia. I don't have to tell anybody here that our country today faces enormous problems and that we have a delusional president who is way out of touch with the needs of the people of West Virginia and working people all over this country. These people who claim to speak for workers are now in the process of throwing 20 million Americans off of health insurance, making massive cuts to Medicaid, privatizing Medicare, and they want to privatize Social Security. Now, the way we are going to beat them is through a mass grassroots effort. And we saw what that grassroots effort is about on Saturday with the Women's March all over America. So we need your help here in West Virginia, a struggling state, a working class state. We have got to stand up and fight back, demand health care for all, break up the large banks. So let's go forward together. Now let me introduce you to one of the great senators, Elizabeth Warren.
All right, so let's be clear on this. The Republicans have the power in Washington. They have the Senate. They have the House. They have the White House. So it is now up to us. We can whimper, we can whine, or we can fight back. Are you ready to fight back? Are you ready to fight? The only way we make democracy work again is when it's the people's voices that are heard.
So at this point, nobody can deny the fact that Bernie Sanders is the de facto leader of the Democratic Party, and he is leading the resistance against Donald Trump. And what you saw there, it should make you feel encouraged because all of the Senate was behind Bernie Sanders. All of them. You had establishment Democrats and corporatist Democrats like Tim Kaine. You saw Patty Murray behind him. You saw Chuck Schumer behind him, and allowing him to take the lead and allowing him to get in front and lead the resistance against Donald Trump and speak out against Donald Trump. And this is good because on one hand, it shows us that they're getting behind Bernie Sanders because they're lost, and Bernie Sanders is the only one with his head on straight who has the courage to constantly speak out against Donald Trump. But at the same time, I say that we should be cautiously optimistic by this because even though Democrats are lining up behind Bernie Sanders right now, I'm afraid that they're exploiting him. And what I mean by that is that they're capitalizing on his newfound popularity and the platform that he has and that he cultivated during his campaign. And they're using this, and later on, they're going to betray Bernie Sanders. So they're trying to give us the veneer of change. They're trying to show us that there is change. Meanwhile, there's continuity on the inside of the Democratic Party. So they'll allow Bernie Sanders to be the poster boy for the Democratic Party, but are they actually willing to embrace the reforms that Bernie Sanders is pushing for? Are any of them going to stand up and declare that healthcare is a right in this country, or that education is a right in this country? I don't know. So at first, I was really excited to see that all of these Democratic senators were getting behind Bernie Sanders because they do need to get behind him. They need to step aside and allow the Bernie wing of the party to clean up the mess that they made. However, at the same time, are they just using Bernie Sanders? And I think the answer to that is yes. I like that they're elevating the platform of Bernie Sanders, but I don't just want Democrats to trot out Bernie Sanders because it helps make them more popular. I want them to actually embrace the reforms that Bernie Sanders is talking about. If you see that Bernie Sanders is popular and you know why he's popular, connect the dots. Realize that maybe I can be popular if I do what Bernie Sanders does. If I not just listen to him, but I actually do what he does. If I stop and think, who should I represent, the people or corporations? If I reject corporate donations, if I stop allowing lobbyists to control my political positions, maybe Just think like that, and you'll be popular too. So I'm afraid that they're willing to bring Bernie out when it's convenient, but then ignore his real message. And, they're trotting out people that are really popular, like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, even though Elizabeth Warren's record, a lot of progressives are very disappointed in her. So, I think that that's kind of a misleading strategy there. But I want them to actually listen to Bernie Sanders and do what he does. Advocate for healthcare as a right. Advocate for a single-payer system. Reject money from corporate donors and billionaires. But they don't want to do that. They want to use Bernie Sanders when it's convenient. And look, I might be reading too much into this. That's certainly a possibility. And it is still, again, it's encouraging that Bernie Sanders is at the forefront of the resistance against Donald Trump. But at the same time, I want the party to embrace what Bernie Sanders is saying, and they're not doing that. So this is why I think that causes like Justice Democrats, it's something that's really important, because we've got to take over the party, because I can't trust them. The fact that I have any shred of doubt tells me that it's time that we stop just trying to reform the Democratic Party. I mean, well, I shouldn't say stop, because we still need to do that, but we have to take over the Democratic Party so the whole party is like Bernie Sanders, and they're not just paying lip service to the ideas that Bernie Sanders has.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.